Okay, today we are going to do the wire monster automata. And that's just what we call it. So, your student will have a piece of paper. And this is a 5-inch square. Okay, have them fold it in half lengthwise. And that will give you your center line. Okay. Now, I'm trying to go through this step by step for you. It is a more complex automata than we have done in the past. So, feel free to watch this video as many times as you need to get it right. Okay, so because we are going to be making the cam out of a wire hanger, this is going to be your jig so that you can get the center correct, and then you know what your distances are so that you don't have to constantly measure. You've got a jig right in front of you. Okay, so now that you've got your jig, we're going to put that down for just a minute and we're going to start bending wires. You're going to need 2 wire hangers for this project. So here is what I call a finger. It's just a piece of the metal hanger. Now you want it to be longer than your jig, okay? Because your jig is your opening in your box, and you need it to be longer than that so that it sticks above the box when you're done. Okay, and you're going to need 2 of them. Now you could make them 10 inches long if you wanted. I made mine, I'd say about 6.5 inches. Now, you're going to curve the end here. Okay, and I just take a pair of pliers and I hold the pliers and wrap it around, okay? Now, this hole, you need it to be smaller than the beads that you have because you don't want the beads to be able to go through it because the beads are going to hold this finger into place. Okay? And these are pearlized beads from Walmart. Okay, so you can test them on there, make sure that they're not going to go through. And you do want it closed because it's going to go on the wire hanger shaft. And so you don't want it to accidentally slip off, okay? So you're going to loop both of them, okay? So just a loop in one end and leave the other end alone. And it's not that tough, but sometimes the younger kiddos have trouble getting it just turned without turning the whole thing. I like to turn a piece of metal and hold the wire straight. You're just trying to make a nice tight turn, okay? So that's what it looks like. You've got the hole at one end and then the long shaft, okay? Okay, now that we've got those 2 fingers done, you can put them aside for just a minute while we make the cam. And you are going to have just a standard wire hanger, okay? And I've taken it apart. Cut off the one twirly end. I like to leave the end that has the hook still on it, okay? Cut off this other twirly end so it's nice and straight. And you're just going to straighten it out. Just with your hands, just as good as you can do. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can use the pliers. I like these really long nose curved pliers. You can tell my kids also like them for fork bending. They're my favorite. I feel like they get the most amount of leverage. They're easiest to use. You just straighten it up. Okay. Now, onto this. The paper is going to come in just a second. Onto this, you are going to put one bead, okay, and then 1 finger, and then, oh no, my beads are rolling, and then 2 beads, and then a finger, and then your last bead, which if you didn't let it roll across the table is right next to you. This is one of the harder ones, keep that in mind, but I really think the kids can do this. Okay. So on that cam, you've now got a bead, a finger, 2 beads, a finger, and a bead, okay? That's all going to make sense in just a second. Okay, now we're going to start bending. I put it on there. I leave this last curve because then they can't go past it. So as we're turning this part, as we're making the cam, our beads and our fingers can't get lost. They're on there for us. Okay, now this is where your jig comes in again. Now you fold it in half so that, see that line? That's where your where your wire hanger will come through. So that folding in half shows you your center line. Okay, so you're going to start with this wire. You're going to keep in mind this is your center line. Okay, so you're going to curve it twice. You're going to bend it twice. And I like to get as crisp and nice 90 degrees as you can get. Okay, so do you see how that's your center line? Now, you don't want this cam to go beyond the piece of paper because this is the size of the inside of your box. Okay, that's why we made a jig. So you don't want your cam to go longer than the piece of paper. So I just kind of find a spot. I think I'm going to make this one move a little less. They sometimes are a little easier to get in the box if they move a little less. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to make my next turn right here, okay? It's inside my piece of paper, so that's good. So my next turn is right here. And you just grab it with the pliers, and now I'm not going to be able to turn it because I've got my video camera in the way, okay? So now that's what that looks like. So keeping in mind your center line, right? And then your curve is within that piece of paper. So you know your measurements are correct. Now you're going to put in on that curve we just made, you're going to put 1 bead, a finger, and 1 bead, okay? And then you are going to turn it again. Now, as I like to do it as close as I can because then it keeps your finger from wiggling once your Automata is put together, okay? And again, just try and do a nice, tight 90 degrees, best as you can do. Okay, now this is what we've got. This is what it looks like. And we can measure it with the paper again. Okay, so we've got the first cam. You're going to make a second cam. And again, you just need to stick inside the paper on this. Okay, so I'm going to turn here because it looks about right. As long as you're inside the paper, you're fine. Okay, and then you just create a nice 90-degree turn again. You're going to put on your last bead, finger, bead, okay? And then you're going to do another 90-degree turn. Okay. All right, you've got your 2 cams now, okay? I apologize. I videotape by putting my phone in an egg carton, so it gets a little wonky sometimes. So now you're going to look at your paper again, and you're going to say, okay, that's my center line, remember? Because that fits inside your box. Your cams are looking good. Now, your last turn, you need to get back to that center line, okay? So I just put my finger on it and go, okay, about right here is where I'm going to make my last turn. You're trying to keep nice 90-degree turns. Okay. Okay, so see what we've got here. Okay, so that's what you come up with. Now, I use a pair of fencing pliers. They work really well to cut wire, whatever you want to cut wire. And you just come out here and you want, I'd say about 5 inches. So why don't we use our little jig again? So we know that this jig is about 5 inches, okay? So we're going to go 5 inches. Because one side of this cam, once we get it in the box, we're just going to turn it to keep it in place. The other side is going to become our turner, okay? Okay, now your box, it's got, on each side, it's got one hole, and on the top, it's got 2 holes, okay? Now, I wish I had something a little taller, but this is what we got to work with. There. Okay, so it comes a little tricky. You've got to put your fingers through the top, okay? Now there's a little bit of maneuvering that goes into it. Oh, I've got to turn on my top. Yeah. If you have a bend in your fingers at what is going to be the top, they're hard to get in. So you don't want to bend up there. You want them as straight as you can get them, okay? So you just kind of maneuver it into place, okay? And sometimes you got to turn the camshaft to get both fingers to go through, okay? Now you've got both fingers through your top holes, and sometimes you have to hold it there, and you're going to put your, if you do your long side first, it's a lot easier, okay? Okay, let me see if I can do this. Okay, so you're just going, now this is wire, it'll bend back into shape when you need it to. So you're just going to get that longer side, manhandle it into place here. Maybe. Maybe it's going to fight with me a little more. Okay. You need to bend your wire just a little bit on this end. You can, so that you can get it into place. Okay. Now you get that side through, and then your short side is going to be a lot easier to get through, okay? There you go. Now, you've got them both through your sides, okay? And the box is upside down, okay? Now, on the one side, you're just going to hold it on your short side. Just take the pliers and turn it, okay? Because all this side is doing is staying in the box. Just want it to keep from slipping out of the box, okay? Your long side over here, this is the side you're going to make your turner. And if you put it down kind of like that, then you can work it about the right level. So, you're going to make another couple 90-degree turns. And if you're like me and you had to turn it to get it in there, you can kind of straighten it up a little bit. Okay, so you're going to make the first 90-degree turn is what keeps it in the box, right? Just like the short side. Okay? Your next 90-degree turn is what you're going to use to turn it with. Okay? So, now if I have it up like this, you can see that it turns around and around and around. Okay? Now, I really like nice crisp turns. I also like to turn this one more time so you don't have a raw metal edge sticking up the top, okay? So I like to try and turn it back down on itself so that when I have a kid turning it, they don't stab themselves, okay? That's just me, just how I like to do it, okay? So let me get you back over here. Lean back down so you can see. Okay, now, do you see how pretty that looks? Nice and easy turn. Now, I like that. I like this curve a little bit crisper 90-degree, but that's the best I could do it. This Automata is very forgiving sometimes. So up top, you can see that the wires go up and down. And each of your students should have a pound of air dry clay. That air dry clay, they can do anything they want. I call it the wire monster because that's the inspiration I got. But they could do whatever they wanted. They could put birds on these, and they could make a forest theme. They could do wells. They could do anything they could think of. I like this Automata because it's things that you often have around the house. Metal hanger, beads, and they can do it with just a pair of pliers and a pair of wire cutters. So the box, if you're interested, this is my like basic box. I can do a tutorial on how to make it. It's a 1/4 inch Enviro ply put together with nail gun, staple gun thing. And then the holes are 1/4 inch. And that doesn't matter too much on this project. Some projects, the holes size matters. But, okay, that is this week's Automata. If you have any questions or any problems, please contact me. I'm more than happy to help out. This one was a little harder. It's a little harder sometimes with the pliers and the younger kids to get those nice crisp turns, but the crisp turns really make it so it turns a lot easier. So give it a try. Let me know what you think. Thank you.